just that experience of growing up internationally made me want to go into international relations. But I was really good in science when I was in high school, so I really liked the idea of combining science with international relations. And I found this really great program in Georgetown to do a bachelor's in science, technology, and international affairs. So it was at the School of Foreign Service, and it was really perfect for me. So that's where actually I started getting super interested in environment and climate change and all these kinds of things related to international affairs. So that's kind of where I started, and then I continued that along that path, doing environmental policy at LSE, and getting my first job at I was an internship at the UN, doing natural capital valuation. So it was called the Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity. And that took me to a job at the World Bank, doing climate finance. So helping developing projects in several countries in terms of adaptation to climate change and forestry. So that was kind of the field that I was focused in. And it was a really, really great experience. I loved working in an international environment, but I was really missing the research side of it. A lot of it was policy oriented, and
was it technical? How was it? At what level of analysis were you doing, or what type of job were you doing during your day at the UN or the World Bank?
Yeah, so it was an entry-level position. I mean, I was definitely doing like emailing people. So I entered there as support for stakeholder engagement. So stakeholders are just people who have an interest in or are affected by things, right? So I was particularly involved with Indigenous people, representatives to the climate investment funds, civil society and private sector. So private sector a little bit less. So I had a lot of contact. What I was doing was just like making sure that they were involved in the discussions. I was kind of the point of contact. There was a lot of, so because it was the biggest climate finance mechanism before the Green Climate Fund of the UN now, we were it was super important to keep them involved, right? Because obviously forestry and adaptation projects affect them so much, So it was important to make sure that they were involved, that they felt comfortable. So because I was entry level, a lot of my job was just like emailing them, making sure that they had their hotel rooms, making sure that they had received their per diems for the workshops and the conferences that we were inviting them to, and these kinds of things. So it wasn't super high level analysis, but I knew that if I had stuck around a little bit longer, I would have gotten into something a little bit more technical, right? And I wanted to make sure that I could do that. I thought that with my policy background, it wasn't really guaranteed that I would be doing something a little bit more technical.
I see.
So that's why I decided to go and do a PhD in economics.
Yeah. And so I think, and it's perfectly linked to what we are discussing, how this leads to the PhD, because I remember that at the end of my master, I really wanted to go directly in NGOs and being involved in policies and directly really on field work and things like that. But I've been a bit discouraged at the university in the sense that I've received the information, or people told me that if I go with the master, I will hit the ceiling quite quickly. And and the competition to enter was really, really fierce. As if you have a PhD, you might have more evolution perspective, be able to go further to another type of analysis, and a bit less competition at entry. So is that part of the reason, or that's something also you heard at the time, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was told that constantly.
Okay.
And that's kind of why I decided to do the PhD. So there's two different, I think it's funny because there's two different kinds of fields of thought in the US. There's this, it's a little bit different than here in Europe because people in general only have their bachelor's degrees, right? Whereas here in Europe, people bundle the bachelor's degree with a master's degree. So you come out a little bit already more educated, or with like more degrees, right? So there's two contradictory advice that I often got. One side is people saying, why are you wasting your time going into more education, you know, because I already had a master's degree at the time. And because that's going to, you know, limit your experience, you're going to have less time to work in the field, especially working in development. Working in the field is super important, right? You can't just be stuck in headquarters, just pushing money around, which is what I was doing, you know. But at the same time, people were saying if you wanted to do something more technical, they were saying you needed to do a PhD. So it was like those two contradictory pieces of advice. And I think in terms of what you want to do in an international organization or an NGO or a nonprofit, it depends on what you want to do, right? So like how much education you get depends on what you want to do in the end.
Yeah, the jobs will be different, basically. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a matter or less better or worse, right? It's really you just look at different things with the different lens, and see maybe more applied if you're a master level, maybe more, I don't know, preparing the models or higher level of type of analysis with the PhD. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I was really far away from research work at the time, you know, so with a policy master's, it was really, I was mostly doing, you know, just facilitating communication. Like I said, I would write reports, you know, for our donors every once in a while. And that's the closest I got to research, which wasn't really research, you know? Yeah.
And then how did you end up in Lausanne with the PhD?
Yeah, so my parents were living here at the time, and I knew I wanted to do a PhD in economics, and I knew I needed a master's in economics before I could do a PhD in economics.
All right,
yeah, I had a policy background, so I knew that HEC Lausanne was a good school. I thought it was going to be, you know, moving in with my parents would be a good financial decision. You know, I would be relying on my savings for the next few years, and so that's what I did. I came here. It's a really good school. It was a great program, and I loved the department. I mean, I was a research assistant to one of the professors here, and I got a little bit of experience, you know, like talking to the professors, to the faculty, to the PhD, and I really loved it. I mean, I loved the atmosphere. I thought the professors were doing really interesting research.